This is how I lost $129 day trading EU. So today's trade, I made a mistake, but I said every losses or every wins doesn't mean that they're just losses. There are lessons and there are areas to improve on it, right? As in this case, this was a area I should be improving on, and we're going over why I made a mistake and how can we improve from on end, right? From now on end, right? So I found out with this mistake after I found it during the trading. During the trade, I was like, okay, I found if this is the Model 1 I'm not using, why am I considering this as a whole Model 1? Why am I even trading this, right? I gotta wait for the next thing, right? But beforehand, let's get into it, right? We built all of our, narrative in the 4 hour time frame, our, saying our premium discount daily range, our auto block, our key level, right? Our network reversal profile, right? And everything we built out up on a 4 hour time frame. You see, and on the daily, we had a ERL to IRL. Weekly, we had a IRL to ERL, right to the downside. Everything is telling me bearish, but I made a mistake. What was the mistake here? Because of the 4 hour time frame, the 1 a.m. candle, right? This is our CRT. I thought it was gonna be a turtle body soup of a CRT. But if you go to the 15-minute time frame, the way could determine that is if it's gonna hold. If this turtle body is gonna hold. If there's already a Model 1 on the manipulation candle, which is the 5 a.m. candle. You go to the 15-minute time frame. Market super legitimate high. Market had this candle closure as a closure, right? This is not the Model 1 I'm supposed to be using, right? The only way I used a body of a candle would be when the market has consecutive candle, right? And one candle should be closing below the candle should be closing below a whole candle, the body and the soup, the body and the wick, right? In this case, it was just the body. So this not be my way of doing my Model 1. And other way would be a the wick. The wick has to be closer below. But in this case, just the body. I wouldn't care if it close below this, but this is when you got reaction out of, right? So this is what I cared about. Now I don't care about this closing below the wick. Because the first candle it closed below the body, right? So and eventually 8 a.m. candle came, the 9 a.m. candle came, 9 a.m. purge out the 8 a.m. candle, and basically that another total bottle soup. This one we had a legitimate entry, but this would have not been our entry at all. Would have had no trade throughout this whole day because we would have waited for this TRT high to get purged for a short entry, but the TRT high got purged during outside the trading zone, so I would have not taken it either. But let's go talk about the mistake we made, right? So our model number 1, if this is the model number 1 I'm not using, right? If I don't consider this as a model number 1 for me, this whole thing there's no entries to it. So I'm supposed to wait for another CRT on the 4 hour time frame to get soup because I won't be trading the 8 a.m. candle without no reason, right? The only way I'm going to trade the 8 a.m. candle if only if there's a continuation. In this case, I'm bearish, right? So I'm looking for a reversal. So I'm looking for the 4 hour as our CRT, not the hourly, right? So in this case, I would have not took it straight, right? But if I found that for the mistake I made and the area to improve on, right? I'm not considering this as the model number 1 because can already close below the body, and that's so for some people would consider it as a model number 1. For me, it would not be it unless there's a consecutive candle there, right? There's just where you can see consecutive candle, market on to close below one of them, and you had a tap into already, right? So that to me would have not been a model number 1 for me to take. That's why I lost, because if this is not my model number 1 I'm meant to be using, this whole thing doesn't mean nothing until the market switches by the high. So the only way a model number 1 would look like for me would be like this, right? Let me just do a quick graphical representation, right? Get a chart right over here. You see right over here, the way I would use it. Let me see if I can get a better one right here, right? Let's just say there's one candle, right? That's one bearish candle, and this bullish candle goes above it. Let's just say there's a body in this right over here. There's a body somewhere here. This to me right over here is a This right over here to me is this right over here is a model number one for me, right? This right over here, model number one, right? So that's one right there. That to me is a model number one because market closed below the whole candle. You can see when it closed below the body. Another way I would consider it as a body, as a order block would be like this: consecutive candle, oops, consecutive candle, chin down, right? Put the wick down here. I'm doing a representation of what I mean by this is not a model number one for me, right? Just here over here, market close up. Just put the wick scanner, right? A way that this would be my model number one on a body would be like this, right? So let me get this again. For the market on this candle, wherever it starts at, right? I just say close up, opens right over here. I just say it opens over right here, right? Close above one of the full candle. Eventually, the second candle just does the body, right? Does the body and not the whole candle. And why do I call this? Because this is a thing where the market does a lot. This order block, these type of order block gets manipulated a lot. This right over here has a lot of losses. This never delivered. Came back down, came back up, stop hit, right? These are manipulation type of order blocks, which I don't like. So this is why I like to do only two types of scenarios. Scenario one, full candle closure above the wick and the body. Scenario two, consecutive candles, and one candle. Then for me to use the body in this case would be market has already closed below a whole candle right over here. Below one candle, and market does not look like it can retrace back down there. So usually would be no retracement back down to this model number one. This market would never retrace back down to this model number one. Market will usually never retrace back to model number one and eventually expand from here on and right hit TP, right? Whatever, right? So market will never go below to this here to this order block, right? So since our last trade was like this, our last trade, with the reason we took it because market did a whole candle closure above, and if a tipping time frame, market did a body, we used the body instead of the wick, right? You can see right over here, we're using the body because market closed above the whole candle already. One of the consecutive candle, you are closed all above the whole candle, right? The body and the wick, right? So in this case, we'll be using the body of this. So the market closes above the body, we use the body. If it goes above the wick, use the wick, right? So this is what I'm talking about a, saying a body, and this is how now my model number one, because market in this case would be like this, right? Market would create a we call it a, oh my bad, oops. In this case, market will do this, right? For this type of model number one, I don't like to consider it as a model number one. It would be market with just close above the body, right? So there's a wick right over here, big wick. Tap the body, stop loss, boom. Eventually, you can see this. Tap the body, never stopped it out, right? Eventually, market came back down. Eventually, when I got in a market, when I got manipulated, boom, stop loss. Eventually, pushed back down, right? This is what I'm talking about. They're picking the right model number one, right? So this is the mistake I made today, and I found out. And now from now on end, if I'm ordering a CRT, right, and I'm trading for the 9 a.m. candle or any time, and there is a model number one already there, right? But if that model number one does not meet either of these scenarios, I would not use it, and I would not consider it as a model number one. And the market has already built a model number one, or like CISD, in that manipulation candle or whatever candle, right? So usually always the manipulation candle, right? If next time, in this case, we talk about this, right? So market has already created a CRT range here, right? And there's manipulation candle. This manipulation 4-hour CRT candle manipulated it and give us a model number one. If this model number one does not meet one of these scenarios, it would not be this. It would be either a full wick close above, or a consecutive candles above, and market doesn't close above the other candles wick, just close above the body. We could use one of these, right? If the market does not, meet one of these scenarios, I would not consider it as a model number one. So invalidate this whole move. I'll invalidate this whole move and look for another CRT to be there. Maybe looking for a New York profile one in this case, right? So once again, I will not be trading a CRT. The model number one is not in this one of these scenarios. Either a wick, full wick, or a consecutive candle and close above the body if you use a body over there in that case, right? If it doesn't meet one of those scenarios, I would not consider as a model number one. I would invalidate this whole move. I would not be using none of these, right? I would not be using this as a model number one. Oops. I would not be considering this as a model one. I'm saying? So I'll be waiting for a whole another candle over here, right? So you can see just I would be waiting for another whole candle, which would be the 5 a.m. CRT in this example. In this example, by the way, as our CRT. So we'll be waiting for this purge, and this purge got purged at what 10 a.m. What time? 10 a.m. at 10:30. This is the 10:15 a.m. market close. So the 10:15 a.m. candle close. You're gonna straight go to 10:30. Eventually, this 10:30 a.m. candle. This is the candle we're supposed to be looking for a purge, right? Market never purged it out, and the 10:30 a.m. is when it purged, went above, closed it out. But that's not the right rational time, right? So there would be no trades. So if the market once again does not meet one of these scenarios, I would not be looking for trades. I will invalidate it. I will look for another whole CRT and be safe out there. These are some mistakes you could. These are middle patient type of trades that could happen. Yes, we made this mistake. Now all we gotta do is just improve on it and learn from it, right? Because we're gonna make mistakes like this, and our losses, our wins should be only used for a lesson and areas to improve instead of trying to be cocky, be like, oh, you know, this is the setup doesn't work. This doesn't this this strategy doesn't work or anything like that. Emotional, thing. That's why we got to go back and back test and see what type of Model One work should we work for, and it's all based out of this. This for some people, this will be a Model One for you. For some people, it won't be for me, right? In my case, it won't be for me because it's all based on how you think, all based on how you like it, right? In my case, I like it either these two because and these there are three types of scenarios, right? This scenario one, scenario two, and a scenario three would be that that wick, that body only, right? Just one candle, which I don't like consider the model number one. This is right here is a model number one for me, which is a higher probability of a model number one instead of being a whack ass model number one, right? This would be considered a high model one, closing above the whole body. To be considered a high model one because it's a consecutive candle, right? And it should not make you think like, oh, now the next time the model one is there, it should be make you, feared or something like that, right? There's going to loss. It's about just knowing about the probabilities, and knowing the higher probability of an auto block, right? Which is these two scenarios right over here. And this is my trade breakdown. How I lost $129, which is a long breakdown, but we learned from this. Now we have to improve. Now next time, what I'm not gonna do is I'm not gonna use a body. I'm not gonna consider this whole mid patient candle as a CRT. If the market gives me a model number one that is not a wick or it's not a consecutive in the body, right? If it's not one of these, right here, click for rotation, not one of these, I'm not considered as a model number one, and I'll invalidate this whole move, right? And we're looking for another whole CRT there, right? But the way I traded would have traded it right. If I would have traded this like this right now, there would have been no trade for me to take this week, this Monday. But yeah, this is my trade recap. I see you guys later. And yeah, join our Discord. We just improved on this, right? We just learn better now. All we gotta do is look at the video back and improve and use it as a note, right? But yeah, thank you for watching. This is how I lost $129 day trading EU. And yeah, see you guys later.